Our new sponsor Better is a fast-growing daily fantasy sports app. Sign up today with promo code Playbook to receive two $100 no-sweat tokens for a limited time only. Welcome to another episode of the NBA Quick Hang presented by Playbook Sports. I'm your host, Brandon, and today we're here to preview the NBA Finals matchup between the San Antonio Spurs and the New York Knicks. Two teams who haven't been in the playoffs in a little while. We have the New York Knicks, who haven't been there since 1999. This would be their first finals appearance since then, who, coincidentally, they did play against the San Antonio Spurs, their last appearance being 2014. Now, two different teams who got here in two different fashions. The New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference kind of steamrolled their way through that. They had a little bump in the road in the first round against the Atlanta Hawks. I think they were just like a little caught by surprise by the feistiness and the energy that Atlanta did bring. But once they acclimated to that, they were just fine, and then they stormed their way through the Eastern Conference and what has been an historic run. Spurs, on the other hand, they went through the Minnesota Timberwolves in the second round, which is a bit of a gauntlet, and then they went through OKC, who many had being the favorite to win this whole thing. So they've taken down the defending champs, which in spectacular fashion in 7 games. Wembanyama did show out the majority of that series, as well as the supporting cast as well. And I think this would be an interesting matchup moving forward, because I think in the OKC matchup you had Shea doing his thing, but he was missing his Robin. He's Batman, but he's missing his Robin and J Dub. I feel like Chet is not really that second guy. We definitely learned about that in that game 7 and throughout the series. For sure, that offensively, Chet is not someone that he can rely on to really impact the game on that end. And on defense as well, I think he needs a little bit of help. I think J-Dub, with what he brings to the table, provides offense and defense that would have been much needed in this Spurs series. But that's not a takeaway from the Spurs. They played tremendous basketball. I think as the series progressed, their defense just got better and better and better. And the way that they guarded Shea, especially throughout that series, was pretty impressive. Keeping it physical, making him uncomfortable, making him make multiple reads. He was doing a good job of making reads earlier in the series, but I think as it progressed, those reads became harder and harder for him to come by. So salute to the Spurs for that. And now as they head into the finals, I think that's something that they're going to have to lean on again to stifle this Knicks offense, who loves to live in the paint. This Knicks team loves to live in the paint, and they're one of the best teams in the paint with that as well. And I think part of the reason that is that they have a big who can really stretch the floor in a way that I don't think OKC had, which can really bring Wembanyama out of the paint and can allow them to still do what they want to do in the paint with OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson. We know he likes to get to the paint and work his magic there too. So I think from a matchup perspective, I think this is going to be a very interesting one. Knicks did beat them 2 times this year, including the NBA Cup. They did win that NBA Cup game as well. So this is also a rematch of that. And they're able to get to the paint on them. I think part of that is due to Cat. Part of that is they have many guys who can attack that paint and make havoc havoc happen in there. Especially a guy like OG Anunoby, if he's having it going, then him as a 3-point threat and him as a drive threat are really effective. Mikal Bridges, Cat, when he has it going, can provide you that in and out game as well. And we all know what Brunson can do leading this team. So I think this is a quite interesting matchup. And I think we shouldn't take for granted what the Knicks have done just because it's been the East. The East is I would say throughout the season, the East hasn't been as bad as people want to make it to be. I think they were the better conference this year. They had a better record against West teams this year. It's just that you would find the 2 best teams were in the West, with OKC and the Spurs. So I think Spurs come into this as the favorite, but I would not count out the Knicks and what they can do, especially if they're able to drag Wemby out of the paint and allow themselves to get easy points in the paint, which then opens up their 3-point shots. I think another place where the Knicks can do well is with the bench. Knicks have had one of the better benches this postseason as well. Spurs don't have too much players that they can rely on coming off that bench, but when they do come in, when you have Harper and Bryant come in, they do produce good basketball and add to what the Spurs like to do. That up-tempo pace, that defensive pace, that physicality, those guys help with that as well. So this will be a tremendous matchup when you're looking at it from those 2 perspectives for sure. And I think one other thing before we head out is how the Knicks do guard the Spurs versus how OKC is able to guard the Spurs as well. I think that's going to come into factor as well. Their defense has been really well. They're really good at guarding the 3-point line. The opponents have thought about New York Knicks opponents have shot just about 30% from 3. So I think that is going to live in their favor as well. We saw when the Spurs are really rolling, they can really rely on that 3-point shooting. So I think if the Knicks are able to just stifle that a bit, which I think they can, they're good at running people off the line. They're good at getting there, contesting, and making them shoot hard 3-point shots. Probably because they have an array of good wing defenders with Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. You have those three guys at this to spearhead your wing defense. I think it makes shooting from the perimeter or any perimeter play in general tricky to do. I think when you're going against Wembanyama as well, and you're trying to limit a guy who's like that, having these bigger guys who can still move their feet and cause havoc and be strong, like an OG, I think he's going to play a big factor. Josh Hart's going to play a big factor in how they handle Wembanyama, because I don't think you need the tallest guys on them. I think you just need someone who is physical and that can also get their hands in the way when he tries to make any of these dribble moves. You have to force Wembanyama to be a force in the paint, which he sometimes doesn't always want to be. He likes to rely on that outside game, and sometimes he can be forced into some bad shots. So I think the Knicks do kind of have the personnel to muck up the game for Wembanyama, and if they're able to do that, I can see them stealing a game or two there, and then all of a sudden it's a series. So I think going into this, Spurs definitely the favorite, but I don't think we can count the Knicks there, and I might even give the edge maybe just a slight bit to the Knicks in this series, which entering these playoffs I definitely would not have said, but that's how this has gone. That is how this has gone, and thank y'all for hanging out with me. This has been a quick hang. Just want to get my thoughts out of these NBA finals before they happen. What y'all think? Let me know what y'all think as well. I'm curious to see if I'm crazy for thinking the Knicks can get away with this, or if it seems a little bit irrational. But let me know what y'all think. This has been an NBA quick hang presented by Playbook Sports. Thank y'all for hanging with me. Peace.